Well, this is going to be rather difficult. Greetings, my dear viewers. It is I, Drahon, and welcome back to Pathfinder Hero Flux. That is Flux, short for fluctuation. In this series, we take a look at characters from across media and drop them into Pathfinder 2nd Edition, creating a playable character based off of the lore within that character's respective canon. And today, we are taking a look at the canon behind Blastoise's cannons. The third starter Pokemon in the Kanto trio, Blastoise is the whole entire reason I decided to go with the ancestries that I did for each of the three starters. I could have easily gone for Gripply when it came to Venusaur's build. For Charizard, I could have easily gone for Kobold or even the Lizard Folk. But when it came to Blastoise, there was no Turtle Folk. And that is when I realized that I was thinking too hard on those ancestries. So I decided to go for the awakened animal. And Pokemon's lore actually supports this decision. If you were to watch just about any episode of Pokemon, each of the Pokemon has personalities that are more complex than a basic animal in the real world. Even more so when the Pokemon are left to their own devices, like in the Pikachu Christmas specials, or, more famously, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. They have societies, in some cases. One episode even had a whole entire, tribe of Trico, with an elder leading them, which was very interesting. But I'm rambling. Let's go ahead and get on with today's build. As you can see here on the right-hand side, I have Blastoise's average statistics. HP and speed are going to be the lowest, with defense and special defense being the highest. Defense is going to cover attacks from the physical angle, like swords, hammers, and possibly even bows, while special defense are going to be handling the defenses from spell-like attacks, such as Fireball, or perhaps the spell, I don't know. What's a good spell? I haven't looked at the spells too closely. Arc Lightning. That is where Blastoise's special defense is going to come in handy. So we're going to need to keep that in mind when we look for abilities and feats when we make this character. Now, let's go ahead and get into the stats. We're going with Strength, Dexterity, Intelligence, and Charisma. For our ancestry, we are of course going with the awakened animal, with our heritage of the water geniekin, the Undyne. This will increase our dexterity, decrease our intelligence, increase our wisdom, and increase our constitution. With abilities being 8 hit points for a medium-sized creature, 20-foot walking speed. Now the Undyne give us a swim speed as well, which I forgot to put in here. And we also get languages of common plus our intelligence modifier. We get access to awakened form and awakened mind. For our ancestry feat, we are of course going with the Rhyme Soul. The Undyne will give us a swim speed of 10 feet and the amphibious trait. We can breathe both air and water, which is very interesting and very useful. With the Rhyme Soul, we gain resistance to cold equal to half our level, and treat environmental cold effects as if they were one step less severe. Moving on to our background, we are going with the elementally infused water. This will give us an increase to our dexterity and to our charisma. For our trained skill, it is going to be Plane of Water Lore, and we get access to a cantrip. This one is going to be Spout. Now, I did read over the cantrip Spout, and it's... I don't know any good equivalents. It's not exactly Water Gun, and it is not exactly Bubble. The closest I can see is the technical machine Water Pledge. Which, that's good and all. But that's just the closest I could find for this spell. And I would have preferred to have an example for either Bubble or Water Gun. But whatever, at least we have a move that is similar to this spell. Moving on to our class, we are going with the playtest material Battlecry for their class, the Guardian. The playtest material Battlecry is technically official Paizo playtest material, but it hasn't been released to the core series of classes. Supposedly, there is going to be a book coming out shortly that will include an updated version of the Guardian. So keep what we talk about here with a grain of salt. Some things might end up changing. As of now, these are the abilities that the Guardian has. Anywho, let's go ahead and talk about the choices that I have made for our Guardian. First and foremost, we get a bonus to our strength, making it a 14 at this time. We get an increase to our hit points equal to 10 plus our constitution modifier. For our subclass, which is called Threat Technique, we are going with Mitigate Harm, which gives us a resistance to damage from critical hits made by a creature affected by our Taunt feature, which is something we also have. This resistance is equal to 2 plus half your level. This resistance increases by 2 at 5th level, 11th level, and 15th level. We also get access to Intercept Strike and Guardian Armor, which, holy cow, is a fantastic ability and works perfectly for a turtle-based creature like Blastoise, who is constantly wearing their shell, their armor, which would be similar to plate mail. And I even found a magical item known as the Dragon Plate, which is pretty good, and we will be putting it here on screen shortly. Anywho, we are also trained in Perception, we have Saving Throws, trained in Reflex, and are experts in Fortitude and Will. We are trained in the skills of Athletics, Acrobatics, Nature, and Survival. For attacks, we are trained in Simple, Martial, and Unarmed attacks. For defenses, we are trained in All Armor and Unarmored Defense. We have access to the feat Shield Block, and the class feat of Shoulder Check is the one I decided to go with. Thanks to the Guardian Armor, we also gain armor specialization effects for medium and heavy armor, and we are able to rest normally while wearing heavy armor for Shoulder Check. This is somewhat our tackle equivalent, but we will get an improvement on tackle later on in this video. Not too far ahead, thankfully. It took way too long to get tackle for Venusaur. I tried to find the best class features for tackle on Blastoise. And like I said, the Dragon Turtle Plate, which is a level 9 magic item, would be a fabulous grab for Blastoise, just to make it more turtle-like. But the plate is definitely a good armor to pick up when you are starting out your character build, since it is within the price range of the gold that you are given. Moving on to level 2 Guardian, we are going to grab the class feat of Sorcerer Dedication, which is going to give us 2 trained skills, Intimidation and Stealth. For our elemental bloodline, we are of course going with the water elemental, and we are grabbing the skill feat of Underwater Marauder, just to make absolutely sure that we are fine with swimming in water. Which I'm sure we are, since we have a swim speed, but I'm mostly just double checking things here. But this also assures that we do not take the usual penalties from using bludgeoning or slashing melee weapons in water. Moving on to level 3. For our expert skill, we are going with Nature. For our feat, I decided to go with Ancestral Paragon to grab the ancestry feat of Tide Hardened, which will give us a +1 circumstance bonus to saves against cold and water effects. If we roll a success on a save against cold or water effects, we get a critical success instead. And thanks to being a level 3 Guardian, we get access to Tough to Kill. Moving on to level 4 Guardian, we get access to the class feat of Flying Tackle, which is our tackled equivalent. See, I told you we wouldn't be going too far ahead into this build without getting tackle. And of course we are going with Hefty Hauler as our skill feat. At level 5 Guardian, go ahead and increase your strength, dexterity, wisdom, and charisma each by 2. We are now experts in athletics. We are going with the ancestry feat of Late Awakener, getting access to the heritage of Swimming Animal. We are also going to be getting armor expertise and reflex expertise. Since we now have our heritage from the awakened animal, we are going to be getting access to our unarmed attack from being an awakened animal, which is going to be a bite attack. Moving on to level 6, we're going to grab the class feat of Basic Sorcerer Spellcasting, giving us access to some spells from our Sorcerer Dedication. We're also going to grab the skill feat of Steady Balance. And I will explain why we are getting Steady Balance a little bit later. I wanted to get access to another feat before I explain why we are getting this feat. At level 7, we are going to be experts in survival. We're going to grab the feat of Die Hard. We also get access to reaction time and weapon expertise from the Guardian class. Moving on to level 8 Guardian. Our class feat is going to be Mighty Bulwark, which is going to improve our armor class. More specifically, the Bulwark armor trait is going to be increased from a +3 to a +4 and can be applied to all reflex saves, not just damaging reflex saves. We're also going to get access to the skill feat of Titan Wrestler. At level 9 Guardian, we are going to be masters in athletics. We're going to grab the ancestry feat of Mirrored Magic, which will give us access to the spells Hydraulic Push and Obscuring Mist. Hydraulic Push is going to be our stand-in for either Water Pulse or Hydro Pump. We also get access to Battle Hardened and Guardian Expertise. Moving on to level 10, go ahead and increase your Strength, Wisdom, and Charisma each by 2, while you increase your Dexterity by 1. For your class feat, we are going with Sure-Footed. Even if you are knocked off balance, your armor continues to protect you. You don't take a penalty to AC from the clumsy condition if you're wearing medium or heavy armor that isn't broken. Your clumsy condition still applies to other dexterity-based checks and DCs. Sure-Footed and Steady Balance are to reference the Pokédex entry of Blastoise being able to stand firm even when it is firing off its cannons, which would normally cause massive recoil. And that sure-footedness would apply to just about anything Blastoise comes across in battle. As we can see here, it deliberately makes itself heavy so it can withstand the recoil of the water jets it fires. Which, if you don't know, the potential recoil is like that of a water hose. Even more powerful, since Blastoise is stated to be more powerful than a fire hose. Moving on to level 11 Guardian. We are now experts in acrobatics. We are going to grab the feat of Incredible Scout. We also get access to Armor Mastery and Weapon Specialization. Moving on to level 12, our class feat is going to be Bloodline Breadth, which gives us access to more spells in our repertoire. Which I have a surprise for you at the end of this video. We actually have a few spells that I would like to recommend to you. Anyway, continuing on from here, we have the skill feat of Terrain Expertise, and the terrain that we will be picking is aquatic. Moving on to level 13 Guardian. We are now experts in Intimidation. We are going to grab the Ancestry feat of Aquatic Eyes, and the Greater Armor Specialization. At level 14, we are going to grab the class feat of Gunslinger Dedication, which will make us trained in the crafting skill and give us the Gunslinger's Way. We are picking Vanguard. And for our skill feat, we are going with Assurance in Crafting. As we have learned from the Pokédex entry of Blastoise, the rocket cannons on its shell fire jets of water capable of punching holes through thick steel. Which is exactly what the Vanguard is all about. Being able to punch through defenses like they were made of tissue paper. And we will be getting a couple of feats that are reminiscent of this Pokédex entry. At level 15 Guardian, go ahead and increase your Strength, Dexterity, and Charisma each by 1, while you increase your Constitution by 2. We are now Masters in Survival. We're going to grab the feat of Weapon Proficiency. We're going to get access to proficiency in the Barricade Buster, which is a pretty cool sounding weapon, if I do say so myself. It's not important to this build, but I thought it would be a good feat to grab, and a good weapon to have proficiency in. We also get access to Legendary Armor and Unyielding Resolve for being a 15th level Guardian. Moving on to level 16, go ahead and grab the class feat of Basic Shooting, so you can get access to the Gunslinger feat of Munitions Crafter. One of the munitions that you can actually craft thanks to this feat is a Water Bomb, which I gotta say is a rather funny name for a weapon. We also get access to the skill feat of Powerful Leap. Moving on to level 17 Guardian, we are now experts in Stealth. We're going with the Ancestry feat of Tidal Shield. We also have access to greater weapon specialization and weapon mastery. At level 18, go ahead and grab the class feat of Advanced Shooting, which will give us the Gunslinger dedication feat of Black Powder Boost. This is to go off the Pokédex entry. The pressurized water jets on this brutal Pokemon shell are used for high-speed tackles. We also get access to the skill feat of Catfall. At level 19 Guardian, we are now legendary in Athletics, and we're grabbing the feat of Feather Step. And finally, to round off this build, we are going with level 20 Guardian, giving us a +1 to our strength and charisma, while getting a +2 to our intelligence and wisdom. We are trained in the religion skill since we have increased our intelligence. We are going with the class feat Advanced Shooting once again to grab the Gunslinger feat of Penetrating Fire. This is to go off of that Pokédex entry that we read a while ago about being able to punch through steel with his water jets. You're wielding a loaded firearm or crossbow. You blast a bullet through one foe and into another. Choose 2 targets, one of which would give the other lesser cover against your range attacks. Make a ranged strike with the required weapon against both targets. This attack ignores any lesser cover the nearer target provides to the other. Roll damage only once and apply it to each creature you hit. Penetrating Fire counts as 2 attacks for your multiple attack penalty. And that is all for today's build, but not the end of the video, as we also have a couple of spells. Not many, but we do have a couple. For our 2 cantrips, we have Draw Moisture and Rousing Splash. There are no real counterparts for this. The counterparts for spells and Pokemon moves starts coming in with our first rank spell, Aqueous Blast, which is similar to Water Gun. Next is Briny Bolt, which is similar to the move Brine. Sea Surge is similar to the move Surf. And Rousing Splash kind of has a counterpart in Aqua Ring. However, Aqua Ring affects just the user, while Rousing Splash affects allies within the area. And this one's a little bit cheating, but the last spell on this list is Holy Light, which is meant to be our stand-in for Flash Cannon. It sort of fits. It was the closest one I could find for it, since both Flash Cannon and Holy Light deal with a concentrated blast of light. And that is all for today's video. I do hope that you enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments section what character you would like to see in the next video. Until next time, this has been Drayhan, and I am offline.